All right, guys, it's Brian here from Ride Your Money Wave, and this is Front Porch Edition. Why? Because I cannot find a quiet place in my house to record this video. My dogs are barking at every leaf that moves outside. My wife is home taking phone calls, working from home, and so the only place that I thought was quiet enough is my front porch. So here we are, something new. Let's dive in and do this. Earlier, I made a video talking about my 5 worst financial decisions. And while those may be interesting, one of the main takeaways was that it was my emotions and my ego that got in the way in making these purchases. Luckily, the purchases didn't put me under, and they really weren't that big of a hindrance. It taught me lessons that I used to make better financial decisions moving forward. But what I want to do today is talk to you about my best financial decisions, because those are the things that you can actually implement into your life, into your way of thinking, so that you can start to make your own money wave. So let's dive in and let's take a look at these financial decisions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you and really kind of explain it. It's almost chronological in the way that these decisions happened. And it makes sense because you don't become the master of anything at your first try. It takes baby steps and understanding along the way in order to acquire mastery. And the same is true when it comes to mastering your money. One of my best financial decisions was that from a young age, I was curious about money. Now, money is a very taboo subject in our society. And that's something that I try to break down in my classrooms. I talk very openly and freely about money because if your parents aren't going to talk to you about money, where are you supposed to learn this stuff from? And luckily, I had parents that were very open and honest and taught me about money. So I remember growing up, my mom would pay all of the bills all at once. She'd lay them all out on the kitchen table, and she'd sit down with a cup of tea and Aretha Franklin playing in the background, and she would write out all the different bills. And so I would ask her the dreaded question, how much do you guys make? And while I didn't get that answer, what she did do is she sat me down and she said, well, we're doing okay, but here's this month's heating bill. Here's this month's mortgage bill. Here's this month's water bill. And seeing those bills at a young age really started to teach me a respect for money. I had to understand at a young age that, wow, these numbers are much bigger than I thought. If it's $150 for a heating bill, what do you have to do to make $150? That's a crazy amount of money to me at the time. That's still a respectful amount of money for me today. And so being exposed to money, being curious about money, and asking people who knew more about money than I did at a young age was one of the best financial decisions that I made. Because even today, I am not afraid to look like a fool when it comes to money. There are people that know far more about money, and luckily, those are in my circle of friends, and I ask them about their knowledge of money, their knowledge of trading, their knowledge of oil markets, of gold markets, of real estate, you name it. I want to constantly be learning. So being curious about money from a young age and still continuing to be curious today, being an avid lifelong learner when it comes to money is one of my best financial decisions. My next great financial decision was always choosing to save. When I was in college, I was making $168 every 2 weeks as an RA. I'd go home on the weekends and sometimes I'd work a job. I would work over the summer, I'd work over holidays. And one of the things that I did during this time when I had very little money was that I was still choosing to save and invest. So I had the goal while I was in college to max out my retirement account with my Roth IRA, which was between $2,000 and $3,000 during that time. And that was a ton of money for me. That was some serious sacrifices when I was making such little money. But doing so taught me financial discipline, because I knew that if I could max out my Roth IRA while I was in college, that it would be so much easier to max it out once I started to make real money as a teacher. And so not only did it teach me financial discipline, but it also benefited me because my money had much longer of a time period to be invested in the stock market. And compound interest would work just that much more when I got older. One of the most important aspects of your wealth accumulation, if you're investing in the stock market, isn't picking the right stocks. It's actually the amount of time that your money is invested in the market. That's how compound interest works. So the more time you have to be invested, the more money you are going to retire with. So after I graduated college, the first book that I read was The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. And I had the mentality that, okay, now that I'm an adult and I have to start taking myself seriously, I should probably start taking my money seriously as well. So I picked up the book The Automatic Millionaire, and that book changed my life. It changed my life because it showed me that if I actually make one really good, big decision, that it's far easier to do that to accumulate wealth than to make a myriad of smaller good decisions. And so my great big decision was simply to pay myself first and make it automatic. And so by paying myself first, what I did is I invested money before I even got my first paycheck. I told my accounts, I told my 401k, my Roth IRA, I said, hey, take this money out of my paycheck before I even get to see it and invest it. Because I knew that if I couldn't see it, I couldn't spend it. And so by making it automatic and by paying myself first, I was living below my means. And I was saving money automatically for my future and for my retirement. And I still do that to this day. Around the same time, I also made the decision to become my own financial advisor. It took me over a year to find the courage to let my financial advisor go. I was kind of grandfathered into this relationship because I used the same financial advisor at the time that my parents did. And what letting my financial advisor go taught me was two things. Number one, it developed the number one rule of money that I have, which is no one cares about your money as much as you do. And the second thing that becoming my own financial advisor did was it taught me 100% accountability. There was no ability to finger point anymore. If I made a wrong financial decision, that was on me. And so now with that 100% accountability, I was forced to care about my money so much more because there was no scapegoat. So I had to do my reading. I had to do my research. I had to do my analysis when it came to my money because there was no safety net. I had to build my safety net. And my safety net was my retirement accounts. By firing my financial advisor, becoming my own financial advisor, I established accountability and I established me caring about my money more than anyone else. Another one of my best financial decisions was reading the book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street. This book reinforced the fact that I could be my own financial advisor because it introduced me to the concept of index fund investing. In short, index fund investing is buying a broad-based, diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds through an index fund. It's passive investment. There's no active strategy. You are just buying and holding essentially the entire economy. And by doing so, you are reducing, if not eliminating, management fees. And by accepting the returns of the market, you are actually going to outperform active investors because active investors struggle to beat the market. So by simply being average and being the market, you are going to beat everyone else. The book is filled with all kinds of supportive data that convinced me that that was the way to go. I'm going to leave a link down below for you to check out that book as well. All right, so you'll notice that there's been this natural progression of money. I was curious with it. I made saving and investing a goal when I didn't have much, which gave me the discipline to manage my money. Then once I started to get it, what did I do? I paid myself first and I made it automatic. While I was doing that, I was reading and researching and becoming my own advisor. So once the foundation of financial discipline was established, now I could leverage this. And now I knew that, hey, if I can make more money, I know how to handle that money. And so I switched gears from playing defense and trying to save, and I started to play more offense, and I tried to make. And so by far, when I look at the actual real numbers of where my wealth came from, the greatest financial decision I made was not the investment of a single stock. It wasn't the purchase of a home or anything like that. It was actually the start of my business. What I really like about owning my own business is that I'm 100% accountable, and that the harder that I work and the better that I become at business, the more money that I'm going to make. When I think about the most successful people that I know in my life, the people who have made the most amount of money, they have one of three things in common. They're either in sales, they're in real estate, or they own their own business. And one of the reasons why is because you get to keep all the additional profit from your labor. So if I go and I work for someone else, and let's say they pay me $50,000, I have to provide more value to that firm than $50,000 for them to give me a job. They need to make profit on top of my labor. But if I work for myself, not only do I get to keep that additional profit on top of my labor, but there's also some tax advantages. For example, if I have a 401k, I can only save $19,500 per year. But if I own my own business, there's different types of investing retirement accounts that I can open up, which will allow me to save up to $56,000 per year. So starting your own business, this has been the biggest generator of wealth that has really allowed me to feed my retirement accounts and leverage the different ways I generate wealth. And it came from owning my own business. All right, guys, two more of my best decisions. The first was real estate. Owning real estate is one of the greatest ways in order to increase your wealth over a period of time. Reason being is that when you buy real estate, your money is leveraged. For example, let's say you buy a $200,000 house and you put 20% down. So that's $40,000. And that $200,000 house appreciates over the next few years 10%. That's a $20,000 gain. But it's not a true 10% gain because you gained $20,000 on a $40,000 investment. That is actually a 50% gain or appreciation of your money. So real estate is really nice because not only do you get to live there, but your money that you invest in it is also leveraged. Now, one small caveat is that if you look at the Case-Shiller Index, which is a index that tracks metropolitan housing prices, it actually doesn't outperform the stock market, the simple S&P 500. Now, I also said earlier in this recording that some of the richest people I know make their money in real estate. So there is a system to fully take advantage of the real estate market, but that's also true with any market. If you become an expert in anything, you are going to rise to the top and make money. As I tell my students, there's a million ways to make $1 million. So don't go chase after the, flashy new thing that you see on YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. Follow your passion and figure out something that you personally enjoy and will be forever curious about, a lifelong learner in that market, and figure out a way to make money there. You are far more likely to stick with it because, let me tell you, it is an uphill battle. But I've made money with real estate, buying and selling a few houses, holding on to a few houses for rental properties, and overall it's worked out net positive. All right, last but certainly not least, in fact, this is probably the most important and the best financial decision that I've ever made in my life. And this is going to affect everyone who's watching this at a different point in their life. And that is picking the right partner. I can't emphasize this enough. Money is a sign of respect, and money is a sign of your values. And how you spend your money is a reflection of both of those things. I care and love my wife very deeply. And so as a result, I make sure that our mutual goals supersede my personal goals, or that our mutual wants take precedent over my personal wants. And in doing so, that's a sign that I respect her. The fact that I take care of my money and take care of the big picture of money in our relationship is a sign of love and care and respect for her. And so picking the right partner is paramount. Becoming wealthy and becoming financially independent is like pushing a boulder up a hill. You have to do all the work in the beginning, and it is a long, arduous climb. But once you get to the top of that hill, and now suddenly you get to push the boulder over the peak and let gravity do the work, that is the same as riding your own money wave. That is the same as when you've saved enough and now the market starts to return more money than you can actually save. Or it might even be when your assets are covering your living expenses and you're financially independent. Either way, when you are pushing that boulder up the hill, which takes years and years of hard work and discipline, you want someone who's next to you helping you push that boulder up that hill. You don't want someone riding on top of the boulder. You don't want someone sitting on the sidelines. You certainly don't want someone pushing the other way, right? Controlling yourself and managing your money is difficult enough as it is. Most people don't ever acquire wealth because of that reason, is that their emotions get in the way. And so to pick the right partner, to make sure that they are on your team and that you are developing a financial strategy, a financial plan with mutual goals, and that you respect money the same way, that has been one of the greatest kind of foundations and catalysts for me to be where I am today. So picking the right partner is absolutely huge. Unfortunately, statistics are not in our favor, and our meaning all of us. Almost 50% of couples end up getting divorced, and if you look at what happens to your net worth as a result of divorce, you lose about 75% because of the lawyer fees that go along with getting divorced. So picking the right partner is huge when it comes to achieving financial stability and financial wealth. All right, guys, so that's all we have time for today. Those are my best financial decisions. I hope that they help you in giving some insight into what it takes to start acquiring wealth, and use this information, implement it into your life. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel, and go out there and go live your best life.